18 miles north of York, between Malton and Helmsley. Hovingham Estate, it's an estate village. We've got about 190 houses. There's 460 residents. It's a small village in reality. It's got a hotel, a restaurant, a bakery, a shop, and Hovingham Hall. 25% of the houses are actually owned by the estate. 54% of the residents have lived in the village for more than 10 years. 50% of the houses are over 100 years old, and 65% of the residents are over 65, including me. So we have seven core members in the Project Purple team, four of which are retired. Yeah, so, and obviously I'm one of those. So when did it start? Well, it actually started, you may remember back in 2014, the then government were trying to impose fracking on the country as a bridge to clean energy. And as a community, we didn't take the bait and soon learned how to demonstrate peacefully, I have to say, from slow walking to sitting in protest camps and lobbying our elected representatives. But whilst there was great energy within the group, Frack Free Ryedale and the North Yorkshire landowner groups, which were very successful, it actually had a negative impact on many of us. And yeah, protesting is negative, and a number of us wanted to do something that was more positive to impact the climate, that would put a smile on our face, protecting beautiful North Yorkshire. So in the autumn of 2017, a group of 7 like-minded people came together to consider what we could do to tackle climate change. Just going to basically go out and get a mandate from the community, because we didn't really know where to start. And we also needed data from the community as well. You know, we didn't know how old the houses were and what we could actually do to impact climate change. So we developed both a household questionnaire and a community questionnaire. And sorry, Kate, my slides are just not moving for whatever reason. And I can see them on my screen, but I can't see them on you.
Not sure what to suggest. I don't know if anyone else knows.
No, I can't get back to.
Oh yeah, that's moved. Oh,
yeah,
although that's gone back to the.
Okay, great.
Is it working? Okay, perfect.
We're back on. Can you see my notes as well?
No, we can't. No,
you can't. Okay, fantastic. Okay, so what we decided to do is that we made a household questionnaire. There were 19 multiple choice questions and a personal questionnaire. There was 48 questions in that. And it took about an hour to commit to do the questionnaire. The survey covered sort of 14 subjects, from demographics to housing to energy, utilities, transport, how people were getting to work and so on, waste and recycling to community volunteering. And we had a fantastic result. We had an 84% response to that questionnaire, which actually gave us the mandate. And at the same time, 87% of the people in the community wanted to either get actively involved or help reduce their carbon footprint. So the three things that came out of it were it enabled us to put things into 3 buckets in order to improve to simplify the communication. First of all, it was to reduce, reuse, and repair more stuff. reduce the energy demand because a lot of the houses in the village were over 130 years old, and to promote renewable energy. And we decided that our ambition was that we wanted to get the community to be carbon neutral in the 2030s. So how have we done with that mandate? Well, we started on the big projects, on the big impact issues to generate our own energy. With the data, we estimated that by 2030, we needed 3 times as much electricity in the village than we are using today, because 87% or 70%, 78% of the houses were using oil. There were 2 or 3 houses that had retrofitted to air source heat pumps. Some were using coal and some were basically using nothing. So by 2030, we'd need 3 times the amount of power to run the village if we were going to achieve our objectives. At the same time, we decided that we wanted to double that so that we could generate some cash for the village. So to go to a 2 gigawatt farm to support if you like, to support our plan to 2030. So things like putting in additional bus services so that people didn't have to use their cars, supporting the school and so on. So we had a grant fund to do this survey. The estate were very supportive in providing land opportunities, and we had potential financing to do the job. But unfortunately, the grid connection wasn't big enough in Hovingham. And that was a really big disappointment because it took us about a year to do that project. But disappointed on one side, but we were determined to continue with the process. So what else have we been doing? We've set up things like a repair cafe. We run this sort of 4 times a year. We've got 8 fantastic fixers, some of which are professional, from jewelers to bike repairers, carpenters, sewers, electricians, people who can manage data stuff, fixing people's computers and printers. And that's a really good community project. We get around about anything between 20 and 30 people bringing stuff into the workshop each time, and we've got one this Saturday. So if anybody would like to come along, you're more than welcome. From the data that we had in the village, we realized that 50 houses didn't have access to off-street parking. So we thought, well, you know, how can these residents move to electric vehicles if there's no chance of them being able to charge their car? So we applied to OLEF for a grant. We managed to get 75% of the grant. Project Purple put the rest of the money in, about £700. And we put a 232 amp electric charging point in the village, which puts in about 25 miles an hour in a typical car. So overnight, you know, somebody's, you know, fully charged for the next day. And at just before COVID, when electricity prices were relatively low, it was being used about 20 to 30 times a month. But since COVID, electric vehicle charging companies have put their prices up quite a lot. And we've seen a reduction in the number of uses, and mostly from, we believe, are people visiting the village. They're charging at home rather than coming to the village to charge. We took over the mini recycling centre in the village and added additional recycling, like cartons, and the group maintain that. We've got as well as sort of typical bottles, cans and cardboard, and we've got a clothing bank and shoe bank and so on. We put together a website which is just in the process of being upgraded again. But we put in things, some of the stories that, successful stories that people have put in about retrofitting their houses, putting in air source heat pumps, things like solar panels, and so on and so forth. So there were some stories in there about what we were doing and how successful people were getting on with it. We set up a library of things. We actually used to call it the shared shed. But lots of us have got stuff in our garages that we and in the house that we use once or twice, never to be used again, and are more than happy to share it with our neighbours and friends. So the library of things, it's a WhatsApp group, and people just ping onto WhatsApp and says, has anybody got an extendable ladder I can borrow for the weekend, or a strimmer, or a shredder, or a car seat for my grandkids are coming next weekend, and so on and so forth. And that's really useful too. On the back of the Repair Cafe, we set up a community hub. We run that at the same time in the same building. And we bring in experts in different fields on solar panels, on air source heat pumps, to talk about, to give residents free advice on how to retrofit and how to change. We also do a deal with Jewsons, who give us 50% off loft insulation, so we're able to provide residents with that sort of opportunity as well. And that's really successful. In total, on the community hub and Repair Cafe, we'll probably get 50 to 70 people coming through the door on the day. We bought a thermal imaging camera, and one of our volunteers is really good at managing technical stuff like this. And we offer residents to go and do thermal imaging both inside and outside their property, so that they can identify where they're losing heat and manage those sort of costs. We've just started wilding in the village. We've got a bank we've taken off the parish council. As parish council, it's one of their biggest costs in terms of their biggest expenditure is cutting grass. So we're saving them doing that 2 or 3 times a year. And the community are getting out there and rewilding to increase the biodiversity in the village. And we're just about to install a bike station, which will include a electric bike charging station together with a repair stand. The electric bike station's been supported by North York Moors National Park as well. Because electric bikes, we want to increase active travel for people. It's good for their health and well-being. And electric bikes, for particularly people my age, are game changers. So we hope to have that in the village in the next couple of weeks. And then on top of that, we're supporting a Pass for Everyone. This is a Market Town circular that we're developed, and I'm part of the steering group for this. It's not specifically part of Project Purple, but this is to link the market towns of Malton, Helmsley, Pickering, and Kirby Moorside. It's about a 50-mile circular route. It's on quiet lanes, and we're getting agreement from landowners to allow us to move to permissive cycleways and so on across and between the communities. And not only the 50 miles circular, but it will increase internal and routes inside and outside that by about another 200 miles. And Project Purple will be taking on Pathkeepers agreement within the parish to look after the paths that are running across the parish together with North Yorkshire County Council. So what have the key learnings been? One is the group name selection. For anybody who's out there, just be aware of that. Although climate change is here now, everybody's talking about it. It would be easy to change, to have a different name. But Project Purple was certainly the right name at the time for us, only 6-7 years ago. agree a group mission statement. I think that's really important. And you need to develop, we needed certainly to develop a mandate and to evaluate the data that's helped us do the things that the community wanted us to do. And I think what other groups are doing locally, there are lots of people out there doing some fantastic stuff. And the Repair Cafe is one of those that we took from Kirby Moorside, and we went over there to them to really find out how they were doing. And people like Rydell Environmental Group and so on are doing a lot of stuff around the place. And the one piece of advice that I would give, if I can, is to start small and let things evolve. Don't try and push things, gets on people's nerves, and it's despondent to the team as well at the same time. So allow things to evolve, and as part of that process, enjoy the journey. I think that's really the most important thing, because tackling climate change is a huge topic, and do what you can do locally would be my message for anybody. Yeah, so that wraps it up from Project Purple. Sorry about the start of that. The president, my technical skills are pretty CRAPP, but okay. It is what it is. So any questions?
That's brilliant. Thanks, Frank. I mean, yeah, it's just really inspiring, everything you've talked about, and it just so many sort of practical initiatives you've got going on that people can get involved in. I think it's just so useful, particularly so relevant to what we're trying to do on this course as well. Has anyone got any questions for Frank?
Yes, can I ask one?
Yeah, go for it, Alison. Yeah.
Okay. Hi, it's quite you've done quite a lot of inspiring stuff. On the hub and the sessions that you have where people come in to give advice on energy matters.
Yeah.
Who do you find who does that, providing advice, and do you have to pay them?
Well, good point. What we did, we went round a number of our suppliers, the people that we normally use for domestic stuff at home, into their local town, and we wanted to use local people. So for example, for the air source heat pumps, we use a company in Malton called Watermark that a couple of us had been using. We felt comfortable with the people. We went down there and sort of interviewed them in a certain way to make sure that they weren't just pushing their goods and stuff. And they've been really, really helpful. And they've then, when they started to come, they they brought in a solar power panel company as well that they felt that they could trust, and they brought in an air source heat pump company that they felt they could trust. So it's all been based on trust, and no, we don't pay them, and in fact they actually want to set up a meeting in the village one evening to invite people to an event. So they want to pay for all the literature to go out to, not just for Hovingham, but they'll do it in Hovingham, but they'll go out to a wider community. They actually want to pay for the leafleting and pay for the first drink because they want to hold it in the local hotel. So I think that's so does that, hopefully that answers your questions.
Yeah, that's excellent. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Frank. Connie.
Hi, Frank. That all sounds absolutely brilliant, and it sounds very similar to our Zeros LB. At the moment, we are also holding repair cafes and trying to get a library of things off the ground. I suppose my question is really, how did you find engaging the residents, and what did you find engaging them? What best engaged them?
It's a really good question, because I still get frustrated about that, to be honest. It's the same, you know, it's the same old faces, you know, you see. And you know, just getting one a month extra person is the level of our success in reality. Yeah. So gradually, you know, we're pulling people together. You know, we did a Zoom call with a group from the village. We had about 45 people on the call during COVID because we couldn't do other stuff. So we had a Zoom call on climate change and what people wanted to do about it, how they could help, and so on and so forth. And we got 45 people out on that call, you know, for a couple of 3 hours, and had a couple of workshops on it, and so on and so forth. So things like, you know, the Repair Cafe and Community Hub really do help. The things like the camera has helped. And you know, different people do different things, you know, have different skill sets. You know, we've got different people looking after the recycling center who wouldn't come to the Repair Cafe. It's you know, it's just one of those things, really. And you just have to keep reaching out. You know, we've got a lot of people who are on the WhatsApp groups for the Library of Things, but wouldn't necessarily regard themselves as, you know, climate change activists, but they're doing stuff. A lot of people are doing a lot of stuff, but particularly trying to recycle at home. I think it's, you know, it's where the government need to step in and do more, really, to help.
Lovely. Thanks, Frank. Thanks, Connie. Nick?
Yes, hello. Thank you, Frank. Just a quick question. I mean, what I'll be talking about later is obviously it's all ecology based. So I was really interested in the fact that you've got this bank off the council and that you want to do some rewilding with it. Could I just ask, what sort of things are you currently doing with it or hoping to do with it moving forward? I'm just interested in what the ideas are there.
Well, we're just trying to rewild and you know improve the biodiversity of the village. So there are other sections in the village that we hope to move on to. We've got the support of Hovingham Hills National Landscape. They've just provided us with 250 plugs that we've got to plug in next weekend into the grass is just being cut and raked, as you saw. So we're trying to extend that and just making more people aware. So we're part of Hovingham, it's Hovingham and Skackleton Parish Council. Skackleton Parish Council now want to do rewilding there as well. So, you know, it's just about spreading the message and getting people to do stuff, really, I think. Yeah.
Great, thank you very much.
Thanks, Nick. Thanks, Frank. And Rosie.
Thanks for the talk. That was really interesting. My question was similar to Connie's, but it was more instead of how do you engage the community, it was more to do with negative kind of people within the community. So for instance, people who might look at rewilding and think, well, that's going to look messy, or people who might think, well, we don't want recycling centres because that will sort of create clutter in the village. Whether you had any of that. Thanks.
Yeah, yes, we do. But I have to say it's pretty muted, you know, and we're pretty thick-skinned, so we tend to go straight over the top of it. And, you know, one or two people have commented about the rewilding, but, you know, even after the first year, you know, with